Should Andy Burnham pipe down a bit? What do you think?
I'm not here to talk about Farage, I'm here to talk about Labour.
I mean, I'm not here to talk about Andy Burnham or any of that stuff. What have Reform got to offer? Have they ever said anything that is positive about this country?
Are you going to see Andy Burnham at all? Any of his events?
I'm at policing events because I'm the Minister for Policing, so that's my priority, which is why I do have to go now.
And I think some of the attacks on Andy Burnham since he's raised these ideas have actually proved his point.
Here I am outside the Labour Party Conference Centre in Liverpool on the banks of the Mersey, where my colleagues and I at the New Statesman have been trying to figure out what's going on inside the party of government. Obviously, you have the main speeches on the big stage where politicians from the cabinet try and introduce policies that they want to take forward in the next year.
We will fight you with everything we have because you are the enemy of national renewal.
But the real story is behind the scenes, on the fringes. That's been dominated by two men. They're not in cabinet, they're not even on the main party agenda. One of them isn't even a Labour Party politician. They're Andy Burnham and Nigel Farage.
Never before have I seen one name so dominate a conference. Yes, it's me, Nigel Farage.
Did you get a bit out of control after that long week with the New Statesman?
Just on Andy Burnham, obviously he made an intervention in the New Statesman around the government not being in hock to the bond market. I wondered what you thought of those comments and whether you thought the characterisation of him as Labour's Liz Truss is a fair one.
Well, I think that kind of sour and ridiculous briefing from anonymous people around the leadership actually proved one of the points that Andy was making. The culture in the party isn't nice. Unpleasant briefing by powerful blokes, party members feeling scared to like a tweet that's a good idea from another party in case it gets suspended. There's Labour MPs thinking they're going to get suspended from the whip if they stand up for the constituents on matters of moral conscience.
I wondered what you thought of Andy's comments there. Do you agree with them or...?
Look, we've got to be really careful. I like Andy Burnham, I respect Andy Burnham. Actually, I use Andy Burnham very often as a positive case study about what we can do differently in Scotland if we strengthen the regions within Scotland, particularly our city region in Scotland, the way he has done for Greater Manchester. But we do have to be really careful that we don't sound like inadvertently that the approach that Liz Truss had, where she had no regard for the bond markets and you saw people's mortgages skyrocket by more than £2,000. So we've got to take a balanced approach.
Should Andy Burnham pipe down a bit? What do you think?
To be honest, it's difficult to keep track of all the different things that are going on when you've got a busy conference schedule yourself.
Right.
As I understand it, he's endorsed Keir as the leader, and you know that's good to hear.
What impact do you think sort of everything that went on with Andy ahead of conference has had?
I think Andy has been a really great mayor of Manchester. He's done some fantastic things, like the B network, and I want to see all our regional mayors doing incredibly well under a Labour government. I want to see us give more power to them, actually more devolution, get more powers out of Whitehall into town halls and to metro mayors. I think Rachel set out the argument for why we need fiscal stability really clearly in her speech yesterday. There is absolutely nothing progressive about paying hundreds of millions, billions of pounds on interest on the debt that was left by the Conservative government. So we must stick to our fiscal rules.
Well, he's got to get a seat as an MP first, I assume, but I mean, he's a very capable man. He's well known. He's got a good following within the membership of the Labour Party, as I'm told. But I think that's a long way off. I think that's just a lot of speculation right now.
I'll be unkind to Andy. Potshot Burnham, okay? I don't think he's got a track record. I think he likes to do pot shots, and that's why I refer to him as Potshot Burnham. Okay, he's the David Davies of the Labour Party, in my view. I don't think he's credible. His track record suggests he's not credible. He's tried to be everything to every person.
There's been a lot of questions about, Keir's leadership and, questions over whether he's taken the wrong tack, not least from Andy Burnham, Mayor of Manchester. What do you think?
Well, look, if you look at the difference that we're making in public services and how people feel better off in their lives, you can see that we've got real leadership from this government. It's going to take time to do everything that we want to do and that we need to do, but if we give it the time and space for that to happen, I know we're going to have a much better country at the end of this Parliament.
And have you put any money on Andy Burnham, next Prime Minister? Or?
No, I feel that my position is that of most of the cabinet. I think Andy is a very good mayor of Manchester, but I don't think that he would be the right person to be Prime Minister.
Now, you're also chair of UK Mayors. Obviously, mayors can speak more freely than maybe other Labour politicians, and we've had that with Andy Burnham this week. What do you think about that? Do you think he maybe went a bit far, or do you think it's a good thing that mayors are able to have a bit more freedom to say what they think?
It's so interesting because, of course, mayors aren't whipped. We can say what we want. We're democratically elected by the public that we serve. We work collectively. We're Labour mayors working with a Labour government. I think that speech puts all of that to bed.
Are you kind of Burnham curious, or what's your position on him?
He's done a fantastic job as Greater Manchester Mayor, and what he is saying, I think, is reflective of the vast majority, in fact the overwhelming majority of Labour Party members the length and breadth of the United Kingdom. So what he's saying, in my opinion, is correct, and I think the government have got to be much more collaborative in its approach with backbench MPs such as myself.
It has been obsessive, whether it's the Home Secretary, whether it's the Health Secretary.
That man is a con artist, posing as the voice of the people whilst working for the interests of the powerful.
It is a constant attack on me and what I stand for.
Not every Reform voter is an ethno-nationalist, but every ethno-nationalist is voting Reform. So, and I do think that is a genuine threat that we need to confront before it's too late.
And I think I'm right in saying you've got Reform. Are they second place in your
No,
seat?
they were third.
Oh, right, okay. So you're scared about them or not?
Yeah, I look at the polls. You know, we've got to take on Reform head on. They don't have the economic credibility for the country. They're pandering to some ugly elements of our politics. And
do you think the policy, the deportation, the ILR policy was racist, like the Prime Minister said on Sunday, or?
Well, I mean, I'd probably to agree with what the Prime Minister said about that.
I think this is a nonsense. This idea that we're defining ourselves about Reform, acting as if these people are in any way going to form the next government, is completely not what we should be doing. We should be focusing on what we're doing and showing people how what we're doing is meeting the things that they're concerned about.
If after next May it looks like the Prime Minister is still accidentally paving the way for a Reform government, it would be the first far-right government in our country's history. So it's a historical responsibility the Labour leadership has to stop that happening, and the Prime Minister's got to show that he's up for, but also up to, that historic challenge.
And we're also beginning to tell, I think, a clearer story and setting clearer dividing lines with Reform, which will be really important in the months and years to come.
I think we've got to be incredibly vigilant about racism. I think we've got to call it out when we see it. We've got to also make sure, as Keir said, where people have really legitimate concerns about immigration, that we don't make people worried that they have, in order to voice that, they will be described as racist. Right? It's not racist to have concerns about immigration. What's racist is where some people use racist language, use racist violence, intimidate people on the basis of their colour of skin. We are a diverse, tolerant nation. That is not patriotism, that kind of racist behaviour.
I am very anxious about May and the local elections because we are delivering at speed for the people of West Yorkshire, bringing buses back into public control, building affordable homes, getting spades in the ground on tram. I cannot afford political mayhem from Reform councillors who get out of bed every morning with their motivation to destroy what we're building.
We don't know quite how things are going to turn out in the next few months, but what we do know is that there are a major set of local elections, including in Scotland and Wales, coming up next year, and that will be a big danger point for Keir Starmer, whose position already looks increasingly precarious.
If the Prime Minister had listened on the winter fuel payment cuts, which I voted against, if he'd listened on the disability benefit cuts, which I and others voted against, if he'd listened on Gaza, we'd be in a far better position in the polls than we are now, where opinion poll after opinion poll shows that we're going to end up with a Reform government.
Do you think Keir's still going to be the PM at the next election?
I have no doubt whatsoever.
Wages have gone up more in the first 10 months than they did in the first 10 years of the Tories.
Do you think that Keir's now safe and he's going to be taken into the next election?
Absolutely.
Do you think Keir's still going to be the PM at the next election?
I would highly imagine so, yeah.
How do you think things are going for the government?
Could do better, said my report card.